The Alien Academy's Great Hall floated in orbit above a swirling blue gas giant, its glass walls curving so high they seemed to touch the stars inside the hall. Thousands of alien cadets from dozens of worlds sat in tiered rows, their eyes on. The stage where an ancient historian stood silent for a long moment, the air shimmered faintly with the hum of the Academy's life systems, and the scent of metallic ozone drifted down from the high vents. The cadets whispered to each other in clicks, growls, and melodic tones, their voices mixing like static. Some smirked when they saw the title of the day's lesson flicker above the stage in pale letters. The only species ever banned from the Galactic War. A few laughed outright small. Fragile humans. One cadet muttered to her seatmate. They must have been useless. Another cadet, a tall insectoid with jeweled eyes, leaned back and said, "I heard they destroyed themselves before they could even join the war." The historian did not move. At first only raised his gaze slowly to look across the hall, his skin a strange shade of silver that caught the light like liquid metal. "You think you know the truth." His voice was low and deep, carrying perfectly to the farthest seats. "But you don't. Today you will see why your people fear them more than any other race in this galaxy." He raised one hand, and the glass doors at the back of the hall sealed with a hiss. The lights dimmed, and the floating lesson title vanished, replaced by the image of a barren world, its surface a wasteland of ash. The cadets shifted uneasily. A flicker in the image revealed a lone human soldier standing amid the wreckage, armor, scorched one arm, bleeding, a rifle that glowed faintly in his hands around him. Hundreds of alien bodies lay twisted and broken, their weapons scattered. The human's face was visible through a cracked visor, his eyes dark, steady, unafraid. One young cadet in the front row whispered how many soldiers fought with him. The historian's voice did not rise. Not one more. This human fought alone for 8 hours until the enemy withdrew entirely. The laughter was gone, now replaced by a silence so heavy it pressed against every breath. The historian stepped closer to the edge of the stage, his gaze hard. That soldier was not the strongest of them, not the fastest, not even the most skilled. He was one of their weakest. The image shifted to a wide view of a battle from orbit. Streaks of fire cut across the darkness as ships exploded, whole cities burning like sparks on the planet's surface. The historian spoke again. The Galactic Council met that day to discuss what they had seen. They expected a small primitive species to break under pressure. Instead, they found something else entirely. Humans. They discovered have a gift and a curse. They will endure anything. They will turn every loss into a lesson, and they will never stop until they win. The image now showed alien commanders gathered in a council chamber, their faces drawn with fear. One spoke, and the translation echoed in the hall. "They adapt faster than we can counter. They fight as though death is nothing to them. They fight for each other, and they will not break." One cadet raised a trembling hand. "Sir, if they were so dangerous, why not just destroy them?" The historian's silver eyes fixed on him. "We tried." The lights flickered again, showing fleets of alien warships descending on Earth, storms of fire raining down. But then scenes of humans fighting in the ruins, crafting weapons from debris, hacking enemy systems within days, turning the invaders' machines against them. The cadets' antennae and tendrils twitched, some clicking nervously, others staring wide-eyed. This was not what the Academy had taught them. The historian's voice dropped to a whisper. "They will fight even when they have already lost, and in losing they will make you wish you had never begun." The lesson's final image for the day was not a battle, but the face of the same lone soldier from the first projection. He was looking directly into the lens of an alien war drone. His voice carried clear even through centuries-old footage. "Tell your leaders we are coming." The historian let the silence stretch before the lights came back on. Some cadets looked away, others leaned forward, unable to stop staring. The historian straightened his cloak. This was only the beginning tomorrow. You will learn how the galaxy tried to end humanity and why we failed. Centuries earlier, before the Alien Academy was built, before the ban on humans was written into the laws of the Galactic Council, there was the first meeting between Earth and the greater galaxy. It began not with peace, but with arrogance. The Galactic Council had long considered themselves the stewards of civilization. Their fleets spanned hundreds of systems, their species diverse and united under one banner. They saw new worlds as resources, not equals, and when long-range probes discovered a small blue planet rich in water, oxygen, and minerals, they sent an exploration fleet to claim it. The humans who greeted them on the surface were primitive by Council standards. They had no starships beyond their own system, no planetary shields, no energy weapons. Their armies still used gunpowder and ballistic projectiles. The fleet commander laughed when he saw them and sent a transmission to the Council recommending immediate annexation, and so began the First Contact War. The alien fleets descended in. Waves, cities across Earth woke to the sound of the sky ripping open with fire beams of plasma cutting through skyscrapers, oceans boiling where the blasts struck. But something unexpected happened. The humans did not run, at least not in the way the invaders had planned. Yes, they evacuated. Yes, they hid their civilians, but their armies fought back with a ferocity the aliens had never faced before. Soldiers in crude armor charged against machines twice their size. Pilots flew suicidal runs. Into capital ships, engineers stripped wrecked enemy drones for parts and rebuilt them into weapons in days. What the Council thought would be a swift conquest became a grinding street-to-street war. Alien commanders sent back confused reports they should be broken by now. One said to the fleet admiral after their first month, "They are not breaking. They are learning humans adapted to every tactic the Council used. If energy shields stopped bullets, they built rockets that exploded inside the shields. If drones attacked at night, they ambushed drone factories in daylight. Every battle they lost taught them a better way to fight the next one. And they fought for reasons the aliens could not comprehend, not for orders, not even for victory, but for each other. Entire squads would stay behind to hold a collapsing position, just so one wounded comrade could be carried to safety. Alien generals were baffled at the speed of human innovation. One battlefield report described a unit that lost all its vehicles in the morning and by nightfall had welded captured alien weapons onto scavenged trucks, returning to battle with machines. The Council had no record of humans began hacking alien systems with nothing but fragments of captured code, planting false orders into the fleets, cutting off communications. It became so severe that the Council ordered all ships to isolate their command networks. When the aliens captured human soldiers, they found another surprise. They would not reveal military plans under any form of interrogation. They resisted until they died, and often they did so with defiance. One recorded instance played for the Council showed a human prisoner smiling through bloodied teeth, telling his captors, "You think we are fighting to win. We are fighting so you never come back." After 6 months, the war reached a point the Council could not have predicted. The humans were outnumbered 20-1. Their cities lay in ruin, yet the aliens were losing more soldiers, ships, and resources than in any other campaign in Council history. On the day that marked the 1-year anniversary of the invasion, a single human message reached the galactic capital. It contained no threats, no demands, only a single image. An alien command ship burning in Earth's orbit with human fighters swarming around it. The caption read, "You started this. The rest is on you." The Council debated for weeks whether to escalate to full planetary sterilization, wiping Earth clean. But the vote never passed. Too many feared that in doing so, they would awaken something even worse, that Earth survivors would scatter into the galaxy and take the war everywhere, and so the invasion fleet was ordered to retreat, but it was not a surrender. It was meant as a pause. The Council thought they could regroup, study human tactics, and return with overwhelming force. What they did not know was that the humans were already preparing for that return, building weapons they had never used in the First War hidden far from alien eyes, weapons designed not to defend but to make sure no enemy would ever again think of setting foot on Earth. The Great Hall of the Alien Academy was silent after the historian's last words, but the young cadets could not hide their restless curiosity. The insectoid student with jeweled eyes finally spoke, his voice clicking sharply. "You said they prepared for our return. But how could they with such little time and no ships of their own?" The historian's gaze swept over them and the lights dimmed again. This time, the hologram that appeared was not of battle, but of strange, sprawling underground structures. Built deep beneath Earth's surface, the corridors bristled with machinery, alien in appearance, yet fused with human design. The historian's voice was low. Humans possess something no other species has: the ability to adapt to any threat faster than the threat itself evolves. You give them a weapon, and they will learn to build a better one. You give them a defeat, and they will turn it into a plan for victory. He gestured, and the hologram zoomed in, showing human engineers working beside, wrecked alien machines prying out glowing cores, studying the inner workings, and within days creating smaller, deadlier versions. Some cadets shifted in disbelief. How could they replicate technology they barely understood? But the historian only said they do not need to understand everything, only enough to make it kill you. The hologram shifted to a battle in a ruined alien city. One human in patched armor, darting through debris, moving with uncanny precision, firing short bursts that struck. With surgical accuracy, alien soldiers fired back. But every time they changed position, the human adjusted instantly, as if he could predict their movements. This was their secret weapon. The historian said their minds learn patterns so quickly that even the most advanced predictive AI in the galaxy cannot match them, and they fight for reasons you will never understand. For them, war is not about territory or orders. It is about each other. He spoke of a squad during the First War who had been ordered to retreat, but stayed behind to protect a single injured soldier. They fought until every one of them fell, buying enough time for rescue ships to arrive. The story made the hall uncomfortably quiet. Even among species bred for war, self-preservation outweighed loyalty, but not for humans. The historian continued, "They will endure hunger-cold wounds that would kill most species. Their bodies are fragile, but their will is indestructible." One recorded encounter showed a human soldier with a shattered arm still reloading his weapon with his teeth, and one good hand holding off attackers for minutes until reinforcements arrived. The cadets murmured in disbelief. The historian raised his voice slightly to cut through them. During the years after the First War, they turned their entire planet into a training ground. Their soldiers drilled in every climate, every terrain. Their scientists studied alien biology to find weaknesses in every species that had invaded. They created weapons that targeted specific metabolisms, armor designed to resist specific energy signatures, and they did it with frightening speed. The hologram changed again, showing a black void of space filled with faint glimmers. The historian explained that these were human stealth mines capable of drifting undetected for decades until activated by a coded signal. A single mine could disable a battleship without a visible shot being fired. And yet the most dangerous weapon they built was not a machine. It was a doctrine. Fight until the enemy will not dare to fight you again. One cadet, a young reptilian with scales that caught the light, asked if they were so skilled. Why were they banned from the Galactic War? The historian's eyes narrowed because they do not stop when you surrender. They do not measure victory in captured ground or signed treaties. They measure it in the absence of enemies left to threaten them. And when the Council realized this, they understood that humanity was not merely a soldier race. They were an extinction event waiting to happen. The historian paused, letting the words sink in before adding, "And they have not forgotten what was done to them." The hologram flickered once more, this time showing scattered reports from border systems centuries later, sightings of humans on distant battlefields fighting in wars. They had no stake in their armor. Different. their weapons more advanced, their tactics even deadlier, and always they vanished before anyone could confirm their presence. The cadets leaned forward, drawn in the historian's voice, softened as if speaking to himself. They are still out there somewhere waiting for the day they are needed, or perhaps the day they decide they are needed. And when that day comes, the galaxy will remember why it feared them. The historian let the image of those distant human sightings fade until the hall was dark again, only the slow pulse of the Academy's ambient lights glowing along the walls. He stood still for a long time before speaking, and when he did, his voice carried a weight that made every cadet straighten. There came a day when the Galactic Council decided humanity could not be allowed to rise again, not in strength, not in influence, not in memory. For decades they had watched Earth from a distance, satellites hidden beyond the edge of the system, drones cloaked in deep space. But the humans had rebuilt faster than the Council imagined, their cities taller, their industries stronger, their ships venturing farther than they had been told was possible. The Council feared that another war might not end in retreat, but in annihilation, and so a decision was made to unite every fleet in the galaxy against them. It was called the Final Containment Operation, and it brought together armadas from every member species, thousands of warships, tens of thousands of soldiers, weapons never before used on a single planet. Their plan was simple: overwhelm Earth in a single decisive strike and leave nothing. Behind the historian's hand rose, and the hologram came to life, showing the vast formation of the united fleet filling the void above a small blue world. The view shifted to the human home system, alien ships dropping out of faster than light, travel their hulls glowing with the heat of re-entry. But something was wrong. From the moment they arrived, there was no panic, no desperate transmissions from Earth, no mass evacuation. Instead, the human defense fleet, already smaller than the smallest alien armada, moved deliberately into formation, their ships sleek, angular, almost predatory in design. They held position as if they had been waiting for this moment. Alien captains reported unease, but orders were orders. Advance. Destroy their orbital. Defenses burn their cities. The united fleet surged forward, but as they closed the gap, the humans broadcast a single message to every ship in every language of the Council. You came to finish what you started. Now you will see what you made of us. Then the stars around Earth began to go dark. At first, the alien crews thought it was some kind of atmospheric shadow, but the darkness spread, swallowing constellations. The historian's voice dropped to a near whisper. They called it the Scorched. Sky Protocol humans had hidden thousands of stealth platforms and weapons arrays throughout the system, each one cloaked from sensors, each one armed with weapons designed for a single purpose: to cripple the fleets before they could fire a shot. As the darkness grew, points of red light bloomed in the blackness. Hundreds, then thousands of weapon stations coming online, missile swarms, plasma lances, gravitational mines detonating in perfect sequence, alien ships exploded in blinding flashes, before they even knew what had hit them. And still the human fleet did not move. Not yet. They waited for the panic to set in, waited for the confusion to spread among their enemies. When the alien formation began to break, the human ships struck moving. With precision, each attack coordinated with the automated weapons grid so that no alien vessel could escape the trap. It was not a battle. It was an execution. The historian let the silence stretch while the cadets stared, some with disbelief, some with awe. The humans had turned their home system into a fortress so deadly that even the combined might of the galaxy could not breach it. And yet, when the battle should have been theirs, when the alien fleets lay in ruin, they did not pursue the survivors. They sent only a final transmission: leave and do not return, for if you do, we will end you forever. The historian stepped back, the lights rising slowly around him. The cadets shifted uncomfortably, some glancing at each other as if wondering Whether their own species had taken part in that doomed attack, the historian's voice was flat and cold that day. The council realized it had not been fighting a stubborn enemy or a dangerous rival. It had been fighting the galaxy's most efficient predator, and it had walked willingly into its lair. The hall seemed smaller now, as if the weight of the historian's words had pressed in on every wall. The cadets sat frozen, their earlier arrogance stripped away, replaced by the uneasy silence of creatures realizing they had once mocked a predator. They could not outrun the historian's eyes swept over them, and the hologram flared to life once more, showing the aftermath of the scorched sky protocol, drifting wreckage burning atmosphere's escape pods, tumbling through the void. The voice that carried over the carnage was not the historian's, but a recording from an alien fleet commander. "We have lost control. They are everywhere. They are inside the ships." The cadets glanced at one another in confusion. "Inside the ships," the historian repeated, and the scene changed to footage from a council warship corridor, alarms blaring, red lights strobing, the camera shaking as soldiers ran. Then came the gunfire, short, sharp bursts, followed by shadows moving in the smoke. Human boarding teams had breached the ships, moving faster than security systems could track them. Each team seemed to know the layout of the vessel before they even entered, cutting power to weapons and engines, before the crew could respond. One human was seen dragging a wounded alien officer out of the line of fire, only to set explosives in the command deck. Moments later, they were not there for conquest. The historian said they were there to make certain no one would ever try again. His voice carried an edge that made the younger cadets shrink in their seats. The footage shifted again, showing alien officers huddled in emergency meetings. Faces pale, eyes darting. One council member whispered into the recorder, "We thought they were defending their world. But they are not defending. They are dismantling our will to fight the human fleet. Did not chase the retreating ships. They simply destroyed every supply depot, every weapons factory, every relay station within reach." The historian explained they wanted the council to know that the cost of returning would be too high for any species to bear. The cadets watched as ship after ship in the United Fleet either surrendered or fled. Yet not once did the humans accept surrender terms. They simply disabled the ships and let them drift powerless until rescue arrived. Days later, some cadets frowned, not understanding the restraint. Why let them live? One asked the historian's silver eyes fixed on the questioner. Because death is a release fear, is a leash you can pull for generations. The council would remember what happened in Earth's skies, and that memory would keep them away far better than any treaty could. The hologram shifted once more to a close-up of a human commander standing on the bridge of his flagship. His face was hard but calm. His words were recorded and translated into 100 alien tongues. "We do not seek to rule you. We do not seek to claim your worlds. But if you bring war to us again, we will bring it to you in ways you cannot imagine." The historian stepped forward, his cloak whispering against the stage floor, and then came the decision that shaped our galaxy. The council voted unanimously to ban humanity from all military involvement in interstellar affairs. They would not be allowed to join the Galactic War under any banner. They would not be allowed to sell weapons to council worlds. They would be isolated in their own system under constant watch, and so the great predator was caged, or so. They believed. The cadets leaned forward, caught in the pull of his words, but the historian's tone darkened. For though the humans accepted the ban, they never disarmed. They never stopped training, and in the shadows of the outer systems, there were whispers, sightings of their ships in conflict zones where they had no reason to be. Wars ending suddenly with no explanation. Enemies disappearing without trace. The council dismissed them as rumors, but some of us know better. The historian let the final image hang in the air, a grainy recording from a distant battlefield. A squad of alien soldiers pinned down by enemy fire, suddenly saved by unknown warriors in dark armor, moving with lethal precision. When the smoke cleared, the soldiers were alone, their rescuers gone. But in the dirt beside them lay a single object, a human combat knife, its blade stained and its edge sharp as the day it was forged. The historian's voice was barely a whisper. When they return, it will not be for defense. It will be because they have decided something must end. The historian stood motionless as the last image of the human combat knife lingered in the air. The hall so still that the hum of the Academy's systems felt deafening. The cadets sat locked. In place, their faces pale, their expressions tight as if they were struggling to accept that the stories they had heard as legends or propaganda were instead records of truth. Finally, the historian spoke, his voice low and deliberate. The council told you they banned humans to protect humanity from itself. That is a lie. The truth is, they banned them to protect the rest of us from them. His hand moved, and the hologram shifted to an image of the Galactic Council chamber every species represented. Their leaders seated in a wide circle the day the ban was passed. Their voices rang out in agreement, but their eyes were filled with the same thing: fear. The historian let the image fade and replaced it with a star map, glowing red marks scattered. Across dozens of systems, these are the places where humans have been sighted since the banned systems far from their home territory. Many in the middle of wars, they were not supposed to be part of the map zoomed in, showing one such battle, a mining colony on the edge of council space under siege by raiders. The colony's distress call went unanswered for weeks until a mysterious fleet arrived. The historian's tone sharpened. They did not arrive under any flag. No markings, no council approval. But within 24 hours, the raiders were gone. Their ships destroyed, their leaders vanished. The colonists refused to speak of who had saved them, but orbital scans recorded ships that matched the silhouette of human warcraft. The hologram shifted. Again to another world, a desert planet locked in a civil war. One side armed with weapons centuries ahead of their known tech. Those weapons had human design written into every line of them. Both sides claimed ignorance, yet the fighting ended in 3 days with both factions surrendering to an unknown force. That force was never seen again. The historian began to pace slowly across the stage, eyes fixed on the cadets. Humanity obeys the letter of the ban, but not the spirit. They do not take part in the Galactic War openly, but they choose their own battles, their own causes, and when they fight to finish it. One cadet found the courage to ask, then why does the council not stop them? The historian stopped walking because the council has learned there are worse things than looking the other way. The hall dimmed again, and the hologram now showed a place so remote the stars around it seemed sparse. A black station drifting in the void. The historian explained that this was a deep space listening post destroyed 50 years ago. The only recording recovered was brief static. Then a voice, clear and calm, telling the station commander, "Leave this place and forget what you have seen." The voice was human. No one knows what they were doing there. No one dares to find out. The cadets leaned forward, drawn in as if the historian's words were pulling them into the shadows of history. "The truth is this," he said. "Humanity's ban was never meant to be permanent. The council hoped they would fade into irrelevance, but instead they became something else, a force without borders, without laws, answerable to no one. They became the ghost in the dark, the weapon you cannot see until it is too late." The historian's voice dropped to a whisper as the final hologram appeared. It was a fragment of classified footage recorded by a patrol ship on the edge of unclaimed space, a human fleet larger than any known since the banned black-hulled silent-running weapons cold. But primed, they were not moving toward Earth. They were moving outward into the galaxy. The footage ended before their destination could be identified. The historian let the silence stretch and then said, "When they return, it will not be because they are forced, it will be because they have chosen. And when humanity chooses to fight, there is no war. There is only the end." The hall remained silent long after the historian left, and in that silence the cadets knew they had learned something that would never leave them, something the council had tried to bury for centuries. The day the galaxy feared above all else was not the day humanity was banned. It was the day humanity would decide to come back.